Hello, and welcome to Ticket to Life. This is Henrie, and I hope that your life is going well so far today. Today, I shall be speaking and talking to everyone about the perfect life and how to have it. But first, you have to bear with me as I talk about my grandkids. I just want to say that I love them so much. The two girls are ages 2 and 4, and my grandson is 4 months old, or about to be 4 months old. Some of you know that I have said in some of my past podcasts that my mother always said, I will never be your babysitter. So all I did was repeat that. Now, when you say babysitter, I don't mean, oh, you're going to go out for dinner and I can watch the kids or the child for a few hours. A babysitter basically meant I'm not going to be your child care daycare when you have a child. So I have stuck by those words. No, I didn't. Now I'm eating my words now when I say babysitter. And I don't mean, like I said, babysit for a few hours. But you know what? I am not a full-time babysitter, but I have become one by choice. So my wonderful husband and I are taking care of our grandson 4 days a week. And oh my gosh, I forgot how exhausting that can be, taking care of a baby. You know, it's one thing to take care of a baby for a little bit, and he's not even walking. He's 4 months. It's just mental. For me, it's all mental that we are, taking care of all of his needs, making sure he's comfortable, making sure he's happy. My son, who is in law enforcement, and my daughter-in-law is a hygienist, so they have their careers. But I did tell them I would watch this little man for 6 months. Why? Because he is a baby and he's not running around. I don't have to go looking for him. So fortunately, he is a good and easy baby who just lets you know when he's hungry or he's tired. Sometimes he gets fussy, but usually that's because he's tired. So the funny thing that the other day he was a little fussy and he was tired and we knew it because I don't remember what day it was. But anyway, so I told my husband, let's go for a drive. I'll drive. Usually my husband's driving, but I'll drive and you sit in the back seat with him. I know he did not need support, but he's a baby and that's what we do. But anyway, so we go for a drive and it was great. He was probably asleep within 3 minutes, if less, probably less. And so I told my husband, we'll drive around and then we'll get back home. And so we literally went back home and we weren't gone long, but I parked the car in the garage and we literally were in the car with the baby for 20 minutes chatting in the garage. We just parked the car. I don't know about you, but the last time I was in a parked car, I was not chatting. So he was in the back seat, I'm in the front. So anyway, so things change in life and you have to learn to go with the flow or try to take care of everything, but it is exhausting mentally. I'm so glad that we are able to do that, to take care of him. You're just wanting, like I said, always trying to make sure he is getting everything he needs. And he has his Letha and his papa, and all is right in the world with him when he's around. So, anyway, so that's all you had to hear about my wonderful grandkids. And I miss my 2 grandgirls. They're in Kansas. Okay, one more thing. And they send us videos, and sometimes we FaceTime. It's not the same. FaceTime is just not the FaceTime as people think, oh, you can FaceTime every day. No, it's just not the same as being there because I feel like we are missing so much. But I'm grateful that my daughter's happy in Kansas, but I hope eventually they get transferred back to Texas. Now, grandkids. Now, this does lead to the perfect life. Our grandkids have the perfect life. Pretty much all babies have perfect life. And what I mean by that, that's only if they're born into the family that is loving and caring and wanting to raise a child and helping them to be a good and kind person. I know that sounds harsh, but you also know of someone or have heard of someone who has a baby and they just don't like being a parent. All they do is complain about it. And but that's true. We don't get to pick our families. We have the choice to pick our life uh, as we get older and become adults. And some need the perfect life. Now, as I've said, there's actually no such thing as perfect. But we have the perfect life in our hearts and minds, and even those that believe their life is perfect. You will always have bumps in the road. But now that too shall pass. And that's what you always need to remember. Bad things always pass. You can't cling on to those bad things. Let them go. It's done. It's over with. No reruns, no redos, no nothing. So what is your idea of the perfect life? Well, I'll tell you. You can find the most happiness in having God in your life. But for others, it is money. Money comes to mind for that's actually the first thing that when you talk to someone, if you could have anything in your life to better your life, they would say money. Now, I understand we do need money. We all need money to survive, pay the bills, keep the roof overhead. But to a lot of people live from paycheck to paycheck. And you need to realize that you are still living, and that's a positive. That you're managing your life, even if you're living paycheck to paycheck. When I was single, that's how I survived. But you know what? I was fine. I was so happy. I was broke, but I was happy living paycheck to paycheck. I didn't need a lot. I still don't need a lot. But money cannot, I repeat, money cannot buy happiness. But as we know, it can buy a lot of things. There's the key word right there, things. Things that make you happy for a while and hopefully not get in debt. And if you come into money, then all of a sudden your family and friends come out of the woodwork. But once it's gone, more than likely they will be gone too. You will get to where you need to be financially as long as you aren't living beyond your means. Honestly, if friends want to go out, because this had happened to me again when I was single, and you can't afford it. You'd love to go, but you just can't. You just need to tell them, honestly, I can't go. And do you owe them an explanation? No, it's nobody's business why you can't go. You may have some lover waiting for you at your house. I don't know. You may have, something. Or you may just be broken. It's none of their business. So if they ask, well, why can't you go with us? Just say, I just can't go. And guess what? They will get over it. They'll question it and they'll say, so why didn't you go? Look, I just couldn't go. Now, if you want them in your business, then you say, I just couldn't afford it. You really don't owe anyone an explanation. Perhaps next time you can say, I'll go with you next time. I don't know. But again, you don't owe people explanation if you can't attend something unless it's something major. I understand. Now I know I sound like a mom, don't I? Oh, wait, I am a mom. I'm not your mom, but I am a mom. The best thing that you can do in life is give gratitude for all you have. And you will see how things can actually turn around. We have to get our mindset out of, woe is me. Look at what they have and look what I don't have. Look at what you would like to call your life the perfect life for you and your loved ones. But I have to say, make happiness about you. Because you've heard it. If mama ain't happy, nobody's happy. Right? You don't have to be a mom either to use that phrase. If Letha ain't happy, nobody's happy. It applies to dads, uncles, the adult figures, the positive adult figures. So Again, I believe that applies to anyone. As far as I'm concerned, you can use it. And when somebody upsets you, say, look, if I can't do it, if I'm not happy, you are not going to be happy. Usually people go, oh, okay. And they start stuttering and start walking away. So next, love. Now, that can seem like the perfect life. When you find the perfect man or the perfect woman for you, and all will be right in the world. Again, expect the bumps in the road. Because there's always going to be bumps in the road, unfortunately, but that's just life. Oh, and kind of side note here, just a little reminder, Valentine's Day, February 14th. Now, if you are expected to do something special for your beloved, start planning now. If you walk into any type of department, grocery store, convenience store, trust me, you are going to get slapped in the face as a reminder of Valentine's Day. So you can't just say, oh, I forgot. Now, this applies to men and women, not just men. And just FYI, this is not, they are not sponsoring me to say this, but Dollar Tree. I don't know if Dollar Trees are around everywhere, but we have those in the States, or at least plenty here in Texas. And no, not everything's $1. It's $1.25. But anyway, Dollar Tree even sells Russell Stover heart-shaped medium box size candy. It's the thought, people, not the cost. It's the thought. So I have a podcast actually from last year called Valentine's Day, a Day of Delight or Dread. It's episode 66. So if you would like to hear that, funny, and it's kind of humorous, but it is true. It is a day of delight and a day of dread for some. But anyway, if you have time, listen to it. And again, these are just my opinions. When you are in love every day, it should be celebrated, not just one day of the year. I know some of you are rolling your eyes because I did as soon as that came out of my mouth. Okay, back to love. Honestly, I honestly think that the unconditional love from family and friends is the key to happiness and helps in making the perfect life. What does this mean? Being loved and cared for with who you are and not what you have. Remember, for who you are and not what you have. That's when someone loves you. Just for who you are. Could you imagine living without a loving God? Well, I know some of you do, and that's your choice. And it's all good if that's working for you. But if you really want to know the true happiness and peace of mind, then he's your guy. He's your go-to guy. Now, will you get riches from believing or love of your life with no bumps in the road? No. Again, many ask, if God exists, why is there so much hate, war, anger, and unhappiness in the world? Well, my answer / opinion is that God made us, and he made us smart. He gave us minds, gave us brains to use. And with those, we are to make choices, our choices in life. I mean, we all want to fit in somehow, some way. But does he have a sense of humor when it comes to certain things? Yes, he does. And I will tell you, he really does. Because definitely, I know this. And why do I know this? Because this has happened to me. So I'm going to ask you, has this ever happened to you? Where something happens and you really wanted it really bad and then it doesn't work out. And you wonder, why didn't this happen? And then down the road, something with no bumps better happens. I find that humorous, honestly, because I literally can laugh about that only because this has happened where something in my life where I thought, oh, this is, I was doing the woe is me. And my life is so wonderful. Why is my life so wonderful? I can tell you, and I know many of you know, I I'm a believer of God, obviously, but one of the things is at one point in my life, I remember thinking, "Oh, I'm never going to find happiness again." And lo and behold, my best friend became my husband. 40 years later, we're still together. And actually, we've known each other for about 43 years because we were friends, and not friends with benefits. We literally were friends prior to dating. So we pretty much knew a lot about each other. And look, he still keeps me around. I always say if he leaves me, it's going to be for a Vegas showgirl. And I'm assuming Vegas still has showgirls. So I'm not sure. We'll be going there later on in the year, and I'll let you know if they do. But anyway, back to God. He has a sense of humor. When I started thinking about doing this podcast, I remember you have to come up with a name. I was like, oh, I don't know. At first, I thought it was going to be the keeper of the house because that's what Henrie means. And I thought, no, that's stupid. And no, if your name is Henrie, it's not stupid. I'm just saying it wasn't a good name for a podcast for me. Because I love my name. And for many of you who don't know, my name is Henrie because it's a short version of Henrietta because I'm named after an uncle. And if you listen to a Memorial Day podcast that I made last year, it's regarding my Uncle Henry. But anyway, well, I'll tell you real quick. He was a war hero, and I was named after him. But anyway, so then back to naming the podcast. Then I thought, Christian with a curve, because I am a Christian, but I kind of curve a lot. And if you've heard past podcasts, I curve a little bit more over here sometimes, and then I curve over here a little bit. And I thought, no, I might get bashed with what I have to say. But you know what? It is what it is. People may like what I have to say. People may not. But anyway, so then I was thinking of a name. I couldn't think of a name. And so my son talks to me and we're chatting. I said, it just needs something. He said, what are you going to be talking about? I said, about life, everything about life, everything that, no special one topic. Like certain people just stay on one topic. And I love the crime podcast, but I knew I wanted to talk about anything and everything. So he came up with Ticket to Life, and I think there may be even another Ticket to Life podcast. I'm not even sure. I looked at, but I'm not sure. But anyway, this is mine. Anyway, and I don't even know why I went off on this route. But of course, I think I told you, I think I have ADHD, and I've talked to my doctor, and she said, well, you survived this long, you'll be fine. So she's right. So bear with me when my mind goes off to left field. Back to the perfect life. So here you have it. My opinions of the perfect life. But as I say, and will always say, no one is perfect. No thing is perfect. I just don't believe there's anything that's perfect. But if we are happy in life, that is pretty close to perfect. You will get the happiness that you seek in life when you can find your happiness. And for me, this is again my opinion, the perfect life for me is having God first in my life. It's just, I'm having a bad day. I know I can talk, and people probably think, oh, look, that poor woman's talking to herself. No, I'm talking to God. And next is family. I love my family so much. And I get choked up talking about my family because I have been so blessed. Oh, so blessed. We've had our ups and downs in marriage. Our kids are almost perfect. No, they're not. I'm just kidding. But I am just so blessed with my family. I can't even express how much. And I thank God. I thank God so much for my family. I think it's from good parenting on both sides. I think it's from making mistakes, because we will always make mistakes in life, but we have to learn from those. But man, my family is amazing. My siblings are amazing. My parents were amazing. My immediate family, my son and daughter, are amazing. And I believe that they are God's gifts. And man, being a grandparent, the best. But anyway, So God first, family second, and love, of course. You have to have love to have all this with no strings attached and no money, just love. We have to have money, of course, to survive. But I truly believe that it can't buy happiness, only things. And I have things. I got things that I'm like, why the heck did I buy this stuff? But you can't take those things with you. I think when we do go on to the great, beautiful sky of heaven, I guess it's in heaven, I'm going to be looking down at all of you going, I told you not to be buying those things. No, I'm just kidding. But when you're knowing you can't take them is a big thing to remember. Because we do sometimes do whims and buy things and you're like, oh, I shouldn't have bought this. But that is one thing we know we just need to remember. I mean, I'm not saying never go spend money again. Of course, you want to go on trips and buy souvenirs, I guess, and we need clothes. So yes, we do need money in our life. But no matter what you have done in your past, what you're doing right now, and what you're thinking about doing in the future, you're pretty sure that what you're thinking about doing could be a bad choice, but you can change that. And no matter what, if you feel unloved, God loves you unconditionally. So be sure to make good decisions. You thought I was going to say choices, didn't you? Anyway, God does love you unconditionally. So be sure to use your mind before you take a leap of doing something that you know in the back of your mind is wrong. And just to let you know, the word choices, when I say make good choices, it just doesn't apply to kids because you always hear make good choices. It applies to adults because sometimes as adults, we forget to make those good choices. Again, open your mind and your heart and make the perfect life for you. FYI, if you're lost and you really don't know where to turn to, just pray, meditate, and I know you'll be guided. Sometimes just taking that little time for yourself to make the right decision is just literally, no, I'm not saying go in a dark room and rock back and forth, but literally find a quiet place to sit. I like to have relaxing music when I do this, but find a quiet place to sit with no distractions, no phone, no computer, no podcasts, and clear your mind. It's hard to clear your mind. It really is to try to, when you are trying to make a major decision, it is very hard to clear your mind. But take a couple of deep breaths. You know, the do that a couple of times, but don't get lightheaded. But I'm being serious. Don't get lightheaded. Don't overdo it. So think about clearing your mind when you have to make those life decisions, because if you are looking for the perfect life, again, there is no such thing. And I'm sorry to disappoint you at the end of this podcast here. There's no perfect life. But again, if you are happy, that is pretty close. If you have God in your life, that's pretty. If you believe in something, don't forget to always believe in yourself. Then your life is going to be pretty good. But be happy. Be happy. Find your happy for you. Because when you're happy, literally, you will see people around you who are happy too, because you do that. You know, I've heard people say, I like being around a certain person because they make me feel good. And I totally believe that. We went to a wedding a few weeks ago, and the bride she's not a very quiet person. She is very loud and loving, and she just made everyone feel good. I didn't even get to talk to her, but it didn't matter. You could feel the happiness in her life at that moment just because of who she is. So be that person. I know if you're quiet and shy and say, I could never be that person. Well, I'm not trying to change who you are. Just change your thinking of where you need to find your happy. And I'm not saying, I've said this in the past, don't quit your job without having another job. If you're not happy at your job, do not quit your job. And say, well, the lady on that podcast said that I should find my happy, so I'm looking for it. And so I'm just going to give you my notice, my resignation. No, don't do that. Know what you want in life. And sometimes it may take a change in careers. It may take a change in a marriage. It may take change in the way you're raising your kids. Life is hard. It is hard. But again, it is possible to be pretty close to the perfect life by just literally having happy in your life. And I know there is a lot of horrible stuff going on in the world. There is. You look and hear about it on the radio daily, and I hate it, but I can't let it get me down. I have another podcast. I'll pass it on next week, and it is about not to worry. I am not a worrier, and I actually thought something was wrong with me because I don't worry about things. Maybe in the back of my mind, but I literally don't worry. This has happened, I really believe, as my mind and heart have gotten closer to God. I don't worry about stuff. I mean, like horrible stuff, I don't worry about it. I mean, I'm empathetic and I feel bad when something happens, but I'm not that person always thinking it's going to happen to me, or what if I just don't. I don't worry. But the doctor said that was good. So I'm going with what my doctor said. Thank you, Dr. T, because that just justified that I'm okay. And we're all okay, and we're all different. But again, the perfect life is finding your happy. And again, there's always going to be bumps in the road. And please remember, I am not a doctor. I am not a therapist or a life coach. I am Henrie. And I thank you so much for listening. And I thank you for listening to my podcast. And I thank you for listening to other podcasts also, not just this one. And more. And you can find all my podcasts on major podcast platforms, and every Thursday morning at 7 a.m. Eastern Time on WDJY 99.1 FM, Metro Atlanta, Georgia, and Dallas, Georgia area. So again, thank you again for listening, and this is Henrie, and until next time, make good choices and go find your blessings. Have a great next 24 hours of your life.